Welcome to 22 Steps to Become a Self-Made Millionaire. My name is Meier. What would you miss if you were never financially secure or free in your life? What kind of influence would that have on your relationships, your health, your stress level, your self-confidence, and your need for freedom? Especially if you had to work hard later in life. Well, this program is about how to become a self-made millionaire. Rita Davenport, she's a motivational speaker. She said something really funny, and it was, money isn't everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. So, would you like to become a self-made millionaire? Well, I guess yes, otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this program. Most dreams can be fulfilled if you have money, obviously. And I see a lot of talented people every day that could do great things, but they don't believe enough in their own abilities, and therefore they work for someone else. They have a job. So these people would theoretically be willing to do what's necessary, but they just don't know how to do it. And because they are still doing the same things like before, they're still getting the same results and nothing changes. So the trick is to realize that you need to do something different. And I will show you what that is. And there's a lot of books on success out there, and most of them will bore you with unnecessary details, but this program is different. This is short, precise, and I will get right to the point. I have only one piece of advice for you. Pay close attention, because the most dangerous words in this world are, oh, I already know that, already heard that. Okay? So the question is, why am I qualified to talk about this subject? Well, I can consider myself to be lucky to be one of the few who became a self-made millionaire in a relatively short period of time. In only 2.5 years, I became a cash millionaire. But not just that, because at one point, my stocks, the stocks of my company that I took public, they were worth $123 million. Of course, this was nothing that I could have sold and turned into cash right away, but I can tell you it felt great to have it at least on paper. But in the end, what really counts is cash and things that can be turned into cash. But there's many ways that you can become a millionaire, and I can only share with you what I know, what I believe works, and what made me a millionaire. So I don't have all the answers, but I only have my answers. So let's start. Number one, breaking out of the hamster wheel. What is the hamster wheel? Well, let me explain. Life today is a pretty predefined path for most people. They tell you to get a good education, get a good job, and then get a better job, get promoted. Then eventually you want to start a family, you buy a house, and you try to work on your career. And after a long life of hard work, you can retire. Sounds pretty awesome, doesn't it? But the problem with this life is that somewhere in between, a lot of people fall into what I call the hamster wheel trap. And this means that money comes in and money goes out, and you have car payments, you have credit card payments, mortgage payments, and so on. And every penny that you earn goes out in bills that you have to pay. So basically, you created your own financial prison, and you're stuck in a job because you can't stop working. Otherwise, you'd be in big trouble. So some people, they are very unhappy in their job, but they feel they must stay in their job. They can't change jobs because of the high income that they have. And, some of them, they have midlife crisis, become depressed, and so forth. And unfortunately, 85% of most people have to force themselves out of bed each morning to go to a job that they hate. So just like a hamster who is in his hamster wheel, who's moving really fast, but still staying in the same spot, is not moving forward. That's what happened to most people. And you can run faster, but you're still not moving forward. You're still spinning your wheels. So like most people, I was exactly in that position at one point in my life. And I asked myself, is that all that life has to offer? I knew I wanted more money, but I didn't want to really, continue my existing job, but I didn't really know how to do it differently either. So what you have to understand is that we all create our own reality. And the key is to change your reality and start to think differently than you have done so far. So let me elaborate a little bit on that. So 150 years ago, most people were self-employed. They were farmers, they had their own shops, they were working for themselves in some other fashion. But then at some point there were factories, people gave up their independence, started working for someone else. And still to this day, there's only one reality in people's heads: how to become successful. And that is a question: how do I get a better job? Now, it's much easier to get a job and to work from 9 to 5 than to have to worry, where does your money come from? But this is exactly what most people worry about. They worry about money. So most people feel they're like prisoners of their own life. And even though they make good money, they feel like they have no other option to change their lives. My father calls this the golden handcuffs. Sometimes your company, they give you benefits, health insurance and so forth, that it's really, really hard for you to leave that company. Especially, if you have wife and kids, house payments and so on. And, then you're in trouble because you can't stop working. But most people, they live from paycheck to paycheck. And if they stopped working and, quit their job, their life would get really interesting, to put it slightly. Most people, they can't think of other options because it's what everybody does. So, they think that's what you have to do. And also, a lot of people, they have self-doubt or low self-confidence, and they just think that they don't know enough to go out there and do it themselves. A doctor once said that the biggest problem with sick people is what he calls wallet cancer. If you have to worry about money all the time, it has a bad influence on your health. Most marital problems have to do with lack of money. And the Wall Street Journal once published the following statistics. 70% of people are living paycheck to paycheck. 62% of people say that lack of money is their biggest problem, and 95% of couples fight over money issues on a regular basis. Wow, when you really look at that, that's tragic. But if you have to work hard anyway, you should do something that makes you rich. So no matter how much you don't like it, money is a necessary evil. Because in our society, you cannot, function freely if you don't have any money. You can't, theoretically, you could just, quit everything and go live in the wild, buy a piece of property up in Alaska, buy your own little house, and then go fishing and hunting. And maybe then money isn't that important. But honestly, there's only a few people who want to do that. So why is money so important? It doesn't mean that you should buy a sports car and throw money out the window. It gives you the freedom to spend time with your kids, to do good things, to support your charity of choice, to create jobs for others, and to have time to spend with your family. You can travel the world, and you can really do what you enjoy. So everything starts with a question. And the question is, 5% of all people are financially independent and 95% are not. So the question is, how can you belong to the 5%? That's the $1 million question here at this program. Well, I don't think that the main problem is lack of motivation to change someone's personal situation, because I think most people just don't know how to do it. And since the source of your success happens in your mind, this is where it all begins. So think about it this way. We are in the information age. We live in the age of computers. And each year, newer and faster computers enter the marketplace. Now imagine you had absolutely the best computer in the world. And this computer is so amazing. It's better, it's faster than any other computer out there. Now this computer is years ahead in its development. And now imagine you use the software of this computer that is from the 80s. The performance of this computer would be useless because the old software would just simply slow down the computer. Now, the same is true when it comes to your brain. You have absolutely the best computer in your head, because our brain can make combinations and has capabilities that you're not even aware of, but we're using the wrong software. And this software is the reason why we are holding ourselves back from the life that we could have. So you have to first delete the old software and be ready to upload a new software. Number 2, positioning. You need to be in the right position in order to become rich. What do I mean by that? Most people have a job and they go to work from 9 to 5. And the only way that they can make more money is to do overtime. And people still think the old idea or lie, okay, go to school, get good grades, and everything will work out fine in life. But this is not the kind of thinking that will get you ahead. So to have a job is nothing bad, okay, please. It's good to have a job. But if you want to be financially independent, you need a different strategy. So let's look at some more numbers and statistics from millionaires in America. Okay, so out of 100%, out of 100 people, 80% of people are dependent on the state at the age of 65. Think about that. 15% of people have a little bit of money saved, but they're not rich or financially independent. And 5% of all people are financially independent. Now let's compare these numbers with the next statistics. So 85% of all people have a job, they're employed, okay? And remember, 80% of people are dependent on the state and 85% of people have a job. What does that tell you? Then 10% of all people are self-employed and 5% are entrepreneurs. Now, when you compare this one with the next one, it shows you how most people became self-millionaire. The next statistic. Okay, of all people who became millionaires, 10% of millionaires are in the top management of large corporations. Okay, CEO, CFO, and so forth. 5% of millionaires are self-employed, but they're specialists like doctors, lawyers, and other professionals. And 5% are top salespeople. And now here comes the important number. 74% of all self-made millionaires are entrepreneurs. And interestingly, only 1% of all millionaires are in the show business, musicians, people who made money in the stock markets, inventors, and lottery winners. So, here's your conclusion. You have 3 options to make a living. You can be employed, self-employed, or an entrepreneur. But if you really want to be financially independent, and you can't sing and you can't dance exceptionally well or act, then the best way to become a millionaire is to start your own business, to be an entrepreneur. That is really your best bet. Now, so if you dream of having $1 million as an employee, having a job, then it's like the same as if you're standing in the middle of the Sahara and you're trying to see the ocean. You're simply not in the right position to see it. And that's why you need to start your own business.